Brisket and pulled pork are what they're cooking up here at the West Point Steakhouse booth. A favorite for not only people who go to your restaurant, but for people out here at the Taste. And this is something new that you guys are trying this year. The Taste of Tippecanoe new, like I said, beef brisket and pulled pork here at West Point Steakhouse. Jeff and Kristen will send it back to you, and if you're good, I'll bring you back some to the booth up there. Chief Rosie says officers were on their way to the hospital responding to the stabbing report when they passed a large crowd of people gathered in this parking lot. Neighbors who live along Rochelle Drive say that suspicious activity at this house has been going on for years. Yeah, Jeff, hey, you talking about the locally grown ingredients, and that's exactly the philosophy that the owners of La Scala here want to expand upon. And not only does it taste better for the customers, but it also helps out the local economy. Again, thank you. Police are still searching for a suspect in a shooting that left 3 people injured yesterday morning. That shooting happened at the Biker Clubhouse Street Fury after a fight broke out. That's on 12th Avenue in Decatur. Well, the suspect is Norris Gillett III, who goes by the nickname Chopper. Police say he's considered armed and dangerous. He may be driving a white 2005 Chevy Avalanche with an Alabama tag. Neighbors say the clubhouse has been there for several months and hasn't caused any problems before this weekend. However, workers at a nearby business say the clubhouse has been a problem for them since they moved in because of littering, and they want the motorcycle club to leave the neighborhood. One man who has lived in that neighborhood for years says he was shocked by the news because it's typically a quiet area.
That's sad. That's really...
If you have any information on the suspect, you're asked to call Decatur Police. Investigators in Madison County are looking into who's responsible for spray painting buildings at the Billy Hunter Recreation Park. The vandals caused more than $2,600 in damage. The vandalism is believed to have happened sometime overnight from July 3rd into the early morning hours of July 4th. The graffiti has since been painted over, but park officials are still offering a $1,400 reward for information leading to an arrest or conviction. Tips can be sent through the Madison County Sheriff's Office website. 7 fatalities were reported on Alabama highways and lakes over the holiday weekend. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency responded to 4 fatal traffic accidents and 3 boating fatalities between Friday morning and last night. Last year, there were 10 traffic deaths and 1 on the water. The Huntsville-Madison County 911 Center confirms its main phone system crashed for the 2nd time in just 3 months. On Saturday, a car wreck in Providence damaged power lines while an uninterruptible power source, or UPS, was supposed to take over and power the system, but it malfunctioned. The call center had to rely on its backup phone system, which it says was fully functional. This isn't the first time the phones have malfunctioned. In April of this year, the phones were down for 45 minutes overnight because of a network problem with the phones themselves. Those 2 events are not related. Well, each month we're highlighting a first responder who goes above and beyond. And for this month's First Responder Hero Award, presented by Fox 54 and Wedemark Keith, we're highlighting someone who spent years with Huntsville Fire and Rescue. For this month's First Responder Hero Award, we're staying in the Rocket City to recognize a man who's no stranger to the spotlight. Captain Frank McKenzie acts as a liaison between what's happening on the scene and the community, providing vital information to people and the media.
A large fire, like on scenes, apartment fire scenes, things like that. I'll get the community together, talk to them about what's going on, when they're going to be able to go back in, and also set them up with the Red Cross when they get there.
McKenzie says it's all about helping give back to the community and says his desire to be a firefighter is simple. He just likes to help people.
I think that's the main reason for most guys that want to be firefighters.
His favorite part of the public relations side of things is keeping people in the loop of what's going on. A person's safety is first priority.
And knowing that we're on top of things and we're going to keep them safe and that we're trained and we know what we're doing and we're going to make sure that we look out for them.
But he wasn't always in front of the camera. When he was a captain on shift, he says actually physically getting out there and helping a person during a fire was equally as gratifying.
Able to see a person that you can actually take that's really hurt bad or in need of something, and to be able to provide that need and that help and see it actually a difference in their life, make a difference in their life.
We'll be honoring McKenzie all month long, but you can nominate someone you know for next month by going to RocketCityNow.com. Just click Sections at the top of the homepage, then click First Responder Hero. A Shoals ambulance dispatcher is being honored for her life-saving efforts during an emergency call. Tanya Lester was presented an award by Lauderdale County Sheriff Rick Singleton at a recent county commission meeting. During the 911 call back in May, Lester told a woman and a bystander the proper way to administer CPR. That woman's husband was going into cardiac arrest on the way to the hospital. The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals is looking for owners of lost dogs and cats that could possibly have been at the Lawrence County Animal Shelter. That shelter was closed after the owner's contract was terminated and an investigation was started. The ASPCA is now running the shelter at an undisclosed location, and it's hoping people with lost pets contact them to see if their pet was at the shelter.
We're giving those individuals an opportunity, to provide that information to make sure that we're identifying their pets and getting them home, and then we'll really begin to focus on getting the rest of the animals adopted.
The ASPCA says it has 300 animals at the shelter and several more in emergency clinics. If you'd like to donate to the shelter, you can do so at the Moulton Police Department. President Barack Obama made a rare appearance at the Pentagon today to be briefed on the fight against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Now, the visit comes as the president is deepening the military's involvement in Iraq to help drive back ISIS forces. Last month, he announced he would send an additional 450 military personnel to train and advise local fighters. That brings the total number of American troops in Iraq to just over 3,500. Florida authorities have released surveillance video of a freshman Florida State University football player punching a woman in a Tallahassee bar. Now, the incident took place at a nightclub on June 24th. DeAndre Johnson appears to get into a confrontation with a woman at the bar. A warrant was issued for his arrest, and he turned himself in on June 30th. He was also suspended from the Florida State football team, and just moments ago, the school announced Johnson's dismissal. Well, court documents now show comedian Bill Cosby has admitted to buying Quaaludes with the intent of giving them to women he wanted to have sex with. In a deposition taken in 2005, Cosby said he obtained 7 prescriptions for Quaaludes. Cosby ended up settling that case for an undisclosed amount of money, but over the years, at least a dozen women have accused Cosby of sexually assaulting them. A Hazel Green man is marching to our nation's capital to preserve the history of the Confederate flag. Johnny Cooper is marching from Montgomery to Washington, D.C. with a motto of heritage, not hate. He wants to show people the flag's an important part of Southern history. His wife says Cooper has mainly received positive feedback. One couple even took him in for the night. Cooper made it to LaGrange, Georgia today and plans to arrive in D.C. by the second week of August. After an impassioned discussion, the South Carolina State Senate voted 37-3 today to remove the Confederate flag from the State House grounds there. This was the second of 3 readings necessary to pass the bill onto the House. That third reading is set for tomorrow. Well, some called for the flag's removal after a deadly shooting at a predominantly black church in Charleston a few weeks ago. A frightening end to NASCAR's Coke 0400 in Florida. Coming up, we'll show you the crash involving several cars, plus hear reaction from some drivers, some nearly in tears at what happened. Chris.
Inside the walls of what used to be West Huntsville Elementary could very well be every teacher's dream.
When they come in, we treat them just like a customer.
It's called Free to Teach, a nonprofit organization that provides teachers with school supplies. It's the brainchild of Eula Battle and Nancy Jones.
Fill it up.
Both are former educators with decades of teaching under their belts. Free to Teach is a project they worked on for nearly 4 years, spending a lot of their own money to get it off the ground.
We started kind of going out and talking this up and letting businesses know that we would be glad to take, any excess inventory.
What eventually evolved is a concept similar to a store. Teachers register online, make an appointment, then can come every other month during the school year. Each are allowed 25 line items. Some products do have limits based on the availability, but for the most part, there's really no limit.
If they take 4 boxes of markers, or if they take 20 reams of paper, that would have only been 2 line items.
A retired teacher of a little more than 26 years, Gail Smith, now manages the store.
We have odds and ends things that teachers can use for science.
She learned firsthand students need school supplies to be successful, and there's plenty of supplies to choose from. You name it, Free to Teach most likely has it. And for many teachers and even parents on a tight budget, getting those supplies for kids can be a tall order.
It's helping the parents, it's helping the children, because it's not the child's fault if they don't have the supplies that they need.
Operating as a 501c3, Free to Teach is funded by donations. A poster by the front door even lists several donors throughout the community, from small donations to larger ones. The community has really helped the nonprofit get off the ground.
You know, if you're thinking about throwing things away, consider us first.
And as Free to Teach continues to grow, sky's the limit to the amount of success it can provide, not just in Madison County, but elsewhere.
We are the first free resource store for teachers in the state of Alabama, and you know, I wouldn't mind it if we were a model for other cities.